So let us start with a new chapter from this class, okay, where we have completed the solid state. So I thought of taking another important part of physical chemistry, where the weightage of all the branch, that is physical chemistry, organic, inorganic, I have discussed with you people, okay. So in that, under physical, I have taken the second chapter, that is called solution. So in my class, before going to the topic, I am going to discuss what is the weightage of the chapter, okay, and in which part of a question paper you are going to get a questions from this chapter, okay. So here also I am going to do the same thing, where solution chapter is a chapter 2 of a physical chemistry. So the weightage of the chapter is around 7 marks, okay. In your question paper, 7 marks total question will going to appear. So where all means, so it is part A, okay, that is the first part, 1 mark question, where the first and the second question will be from the solution chapter, okay. So here only going to cover 2 marks out of 7, okay. And next, in case of a part D part, okay, where I am discussing about the Karnataka State Board PUC, in a part D, okay, 28th question will going to appear from this chapter. So in that one, the A question will be of 3 marks, which usually and compulsory is going to get a numerical from this chapter, and the B question might be a 2 mark directly, or it may be 1+1. As you all know, in your chemistry subject especially, you will not going to get direct 5 marks question. So this is what the marks distribution for the solution chapter, okay. As always, planning is very much required, so for that reason I am going to discuss this part, okay. So let us go with the chapter directly. In the first chapter we discussed one of the state of a matter, that is a solid state we have completed, agree, okay. So now the another state of a matter is liquid, agree, and one more is like a gas. So here liquid means it will be in a purest form, we could say. But here what is happening, where I have a liquid, in that I am going to add some substance to that, okay. So that results in the formation of a mixture, okay. So for the mixture we could give a number of examples. For example, air only we can take, okay. So if I consider air, it is not in a purest form, agree. So where we have a oxygen in that one, we have a hydrogen, we have a nitrogen. Similarly, if I take sea water as an example, where the sea water consists of water as well as a salt in that one, okay. So what happens when I consider air over here? Can you separate out this is the oxygen, this is the nitrogen, this is the hydrogen? No. So it is in a homogeneous nature, we could say. Homo means the same, okay, where they are uniform throughout the mixture, we could say. Okay, when it comes to a mixture, it is of a 2-part, homogeneous and the heterogeneous mixture. Usually when I consider a solution, in most of the part, a solution will be formed in the form of a homogeneous mixture, okay. So solution is formed when a particular amount of a substance in a minute quantity is taken and it is added to the large quantity of a substance, okay. So best example, take a container, okay, take a water in this one in a larger quantity, and to this add sodium chloride, which is nothing but a table salt, okay. Sodium chloride you are not going to take in a kg, okay, you are going to take in a gram level. That you are going to add, let us take as a 1 liter of a water, okay. What happens to the sodium chloride? Obviously it dissolves. So once it dissolves, it will going to form a uniform mixture, where you are not going to find the salt over here or over here or over here. It will be present uniform throughout the mixture, okay. So that's why we are going to call it as a homogeneous mixture. Usually the solution will be formed by the homogeneous mixture, where to this solution need to be formed, we need a 2 component. One is solute, okay, and the one more is solvent. It is always taken in a minor quantity and the solvent is taken in a larger quantity, okay, or a major quantity, we could say. So when I combine these two, that will going to form a solution. Okay, usually it will be a homogeneous mixture, we are going to say. Since we are taking a two component, usually this is known as a binary solution. Okay, usually we are going to call it as a binary solution. Bi means two. Okay, when the two components are taken to prepare a solution, so it is called as a binary solution. So this is all like an introduction part, that the basic thing you might be knowing, but still it is important to know all this concept. Okay, so now here we are going to discuss throughout the chapter about the binary solution itself. Okay, so yes, so this is of what we can call the introduction part, and in this I am going to cover the type of a solution. I am going to cover the type of a solution. Okay, and examples of each a type of a solution, because we are going to get a questions from this part for that reason. Okay. After the introduction part, I'll just move to the types of a solution. So see here, it is not compulsory that always the solvent need to be a liquid only. Okay, the solvent can be a gas, the solvent can be a solid. Okay, similarly, always it is not compulsory that the solute need to be in a solid state. It can be a gaseous state, it can be in a liquid state. So based on those concepts, based on those combination, okay, we can classify the types of a solution into solid solution, liquid solution, and the gaseous solution. So in what way, on what basic we are going to call it as a solid solution? It is purely based on the physical state of a solvent. Okay, whatever the solvent which is in a larger quantity we are taking, so based on that physical state, we will going to classify the solution as a solid solution, liquid solution, and the gaseous solution. Okay, so then fine. The solid solution means, so as I told, the solvent should always be what? It should be a solid. Agree? Okay. So I have classified, or the types of a solution are based on the physical state of a solvent, as I told, right? So when I say solid solution, this solid is particularly represents or specifies the state of a solvent. Okay, here the state of a solvent is solid, whereas the solute can be solid itself. Okay, but the solute can be liquid itself. Okay, where it can exist as a gas. Whatever may be the state of a solute, but the solvent should be what? In a solid condition. Okay, I hope you understood. It's how we have classified. Okay, so next comes the second classification, liquid solution. Now you might like understood that is liquid means the state of a solvent is liquid. So can I write here under solvent? It is liquid state. Okay, whereas the solvent can be again solid, liquid, and gas. Okay. Similarly, the third classification is gaseous solution, so that the solvent is always and should be a gas which is in a larger quantity. Okay. To this, I can add solid as a solute, I can add liquid as a solute, I can add gas as a solute. So this is a basic types of a solution. Okay, where you may get one or two questions in your first part A for your theory exam from this part. The example will be like, give an example for the solid solution in which the solute should be a solid, means the combination is like solid plus solid, like this. So I am going to discuss regarding that part after this. Okay. So here for the solid, I could give an example of a gold itself. So when you go to purchase a gold, you are going to see their hallmark or KDM or 18 carat, 24 carat gold we are going to observe, right? What do you mean by this 18 carat? 18 carat is nothing but where if we get 24 carat, it is a purely gold is there. Okay, nothing else is mixed into that one. Okay, it is a purely gold that is available. So in some we are going to call it as a 18 carat gold. What do you mean by 18 carat gold? So out of like a 24, 18 part will be a gold, okay, where the remaining part will be an alloy. Means, for example, the gold is mixed with the copper. Okay, so copper is also a solid, gold is also a solid. Agree? Where copper is not taken in a larger quantity, to the larger quantity of a gold, the copper is mixed. Agree? Okay, so I could say a solid in solid. A gold is the best example for the solid in solid. Okay, where the pure gold is mixed with a copper, which creates an alloy, we could say. Okay, another best example we could say is an alloy. Okay, alloy is nothing but a mixture of two or more metal. Okay, when I say a metals, obviously both will be in a solid condition. Okay, so for the solid solution, solvent should be compulsory solid, and the solute, if I take a solid, so best example I could give is what? It is gold. I hope you got this point. Okay, yes. So similarly, when I say solid solution where the solvent is compulsory, again solid, where the solute that I am taking now is liquid. Okay, so you can just go on thinking where the solute that I have taken in a smaller quantity, okay, that smaller quantity of solute should be in a liquid. Okay, that liquid is added or treated to the solid, which is in a larger quantity. So just think on what all the examples you could get over here, and that mixture should be a homogeneous mixture. So similarly, one more example, that is a solid solution. Solvent is solid compulsory, as I told, okay, and the solute is a liquid over here. So it's quite simple. The solute that we have taken is a liquid, is in a minor quantity, and that is added to the solvent that is solid in a larger quantity. Okay, so now the best example we can give here is in many chemical reactions we are going to use, that is the amalgam. Okay, so we are going to call it as a sodium amalgam. You might have heard these words in many chemical reactions: sodium amalgam, zinc amalgam, like that. What do you mean by that? Okay, amalgam is nothing but a mixture formed where when a mercury is treated, okay, a liquid metal, okay, when the mercury is treated with any metal, it's going to form a soft solution or a mixture over there. So we're going to call it as an amalgam. Okay, so here I could say mercury, which is in a liquid condition, is taken as a solute, okay, and that is mixed with any metal like sodium, okay, which is in a solid state. Okay, and similarly mercury can be treated with a zinc. We're going to call it as a zinc amalgam or the sodium amalgam. Okay, where the solute here is a mercury, which is in a liquid condition, and we have taken in a minor quantity, where the sodium and the zinc are the metal in a solid state taken in a larger quantity. Okay, so these two examples you have to remember. And the third part of a solid solution is that where the solvent is solid compulsory, the solute left over is gas. Okay, so means over the solid surface the gas is present in a minor quantity. Okay, so you can just think on this one. In many chemical reactions, even in the first year you might have studied in the hydrocarbon part with the heading called hydrogenation. Okay, hydrogenation means what? Addition of a hydrogen. Okay, so dehydrogenation means what? Removal of a hydrogen. Here what happens, during the hydrogenation of some of the hydrocarbons, we are going to take some of the metals. Okay, on the surface of the metal, we are going to carry out these reactions. Okay, so especially what? Hydrogen over palladium. The palladium metal is taken, over that the hydrogen will be taken, okay, and that hydrogen is passed to the hydrocarbon that is present. Okay, so hydrogen over palladium. Here the palladium is a solid which is acting as a solvent, whereas hydrogen is a gas which is taken in a minor quantity. Okay, even you can take hydrogen on a nickel surface. Especially we are going to take this one for the hydrogenation. Okay, but this act as a catalyst. Okay, catalytic surface. So this is about the solid solution. Okay, and the classification. Again I am repeating, you have to remember each and every example for this one, where the question will be like this: give an example for the solid solution in which the solute is gas. If the question will appear like this, you should should remember, okay, it's a solid solution. Where the solid solution means the first point you're going to get, solid means a solvent. Okay, solvent here is a solid. So in that I have taken a gas as a solute means what might be the combination? You have to think and you have to answer. So this is how the question is going to appear. Okay, so this is only the first part I have discussed. Similarly, what happens? The next will be liquid solution. So when I say liquid solution, so liquid means the solvent here is liquid, right? Okay, means the larger quantity that we have taken is a liquid here. Okay, so to this liquid I can add the solute as a solid, I can add solute as a liquid, I can add solute as a gas. Okay, now I hope you understood how the classification has been made. Okay, now you just think over here. Okay, so a solvent is liquid. Okay, to this I am going to add a solid. A very common combination we are going to get. Okay, most of the solution where we are going to get is liquid as a basic solvent and the solute might be a solid. Okay, so you can give a many example or plenty example for this. So here is about the second classification or the types of a solution, that is liquid solution. Okay, where the solvent is compulsory liquid in a larger quantity, where the solute can be solid, liquid or gas. Okay, now it's a quite common combination we could see and you can guess very easily over here, that is the solvent is liquid in a larger quantity. To that I am going to add a solid. Okay, so the best example where most of the solution will be prepared in this way, like take a glucose, add that to water, take a salt, add that to water. Okay, salt and the glucose are in solid condition where the water is in a liquid condition. So these are like a common example you could give. Okay, so can I write here a glucose solution or glucose in water, salt in water also you can give example. Okay, and the next one is liquid in liquid. Okay, where both the solvent and the solute are liquid. So which example you could give? The best example is the alcohol or the ethyl alcohol is taken. Okay, and that is added to the water. Okay, or that is diluted by adding to the water. So best example we could take. Okay, when I add ethyl alcohol to the water, it forms a homogeneous mixture. Okay, so can I write here ethyl alcohol plus water, the best and the simple example. Okay, yes. So like this number of examples you can give in case of many solutions that we are going to use in a laboratory. Okay, so but the condition is that they should form an homogeneous mixture over here. Yes. So the next part for the liquid solution is that liquid should be a solvent and the solid should be a gas. Okay, so gas in a minor quantity should be present in a dissolved state in a given solvent. So we can give a best example of the water that we are using. Okay, the lake water or the pond water, where we are going to have a dissolved oxygen in that one, where we are going to call it as a DO, dissolved oxygen, which is very important for the aquatic animals to survive their life in the water. Okay, so I could say oxygen in water or dissolved oxygen in water is the best example for the gas in liquid. So can I write oxygen in water? A very simple classification. Okay. Okay, I hope you understood these two types. The last type that we're going to take is what? The gaseous solution. Okay. So when I say gaseous solution, so as I told, the solvent will be gas, gas, gas. Means in a larger quantity the gas will be present. To that larger quantity of a gas we can add solid, okay, we can add liquid and we can add gas again. Okay, so this you can remember very easily. That is, when I say gas in a gas is nothing but the mixture. That is, air is the best example I could say. Okay, so it consists of oxygen, nitrogen and the hydrogen in the gas. Okay, so can I say a simple example that you can remember here is a air, the best example. Okay, so when I say a solute is a liquid in a minor quantity and that liquid is added to the gas. So can you imagine what the example we may get over here? for the solvent gas and the solute is a solid, the best example we can take is camphor. Okay, and that is treated with the nitrogen gas. Nitrogen gas in a larger quantity, to that camphor is added. So camphor is nothing but what we're going to call in a common word as a karpura. Okay, so that is added to the nitrogen gas. Okay, similarly, next example, whereas solvent is a gas and the liquid is a solute. So best example we could take is a chloroform, which is an organic solvent. Okay, chloroform is taken and it is treated with the nitrogen gas. Okay, so this is a basic classification of a type of solution. Okay, and the example for each type of a solution. Okay, as I am repeating again, this play a very important role in your board exam as well as in your competitive exam, where I am going to discuss one question based on this concept now. Okay, then you are going to get a clear picture how the question might appear based on students. So here I have taken one example where how the question might appear in your competitive exam. You are going to get a clear picture. Okay, so see here the question is like, which of the following is an example of a gaseous solution? Okay, so they have given a 4 option: camphor in nitrogen gas, solution of a hydrogen in palladium, chloroform mixed with a nitrogen gas, and both A and C. Okay, so before going to the option, at least if you have an idea regarding this gaseous solution, you can guess what might be the answer. So as you know, what do you mean by this gaseous solution? Where the solvent is gas. The solvent that we have taken is what? Gas. Okay. So now, if I go with the first option, camphor in nitrogen gas. Okay. So camphor in means camphor is taken and dissolved in a nitrogen gas. Okay. It is how you need to understand. So nitrogen gas we got as a solvent. Camphor is solid in state. Yes. This can be one example where camphor in nitrogen gas. Okay, solid is dissolved in a gas. One type of a gaseous solution. Now come to the B, solution of a hydrogen in palladium. No. Okay, so hydrogen is a gas in a minor quantity in palladium. Okay, where palladium is a larger quantity. So this is an example for what? The solid solution. It will not come under this. Okay, come to the third option, chloroform mixed with a nitrogen gas. Okay, where we know that chloroform is a liquid or an organic solvent. Okay, it is mixed with a nitrogen gas. So nitrogen gas is in a larger quantity. To that they are going to add chloroform. Okay, yes, this comes also an example. So the D option they have given both A and C. Okay, so obviously even this can also be taken as an example, even this can also be taken as an example. So this is an example where solid in gas. Okay, so this is an example where liquid in gas. Okay, so the answer for this question is that both A and C. Okay, so if you know the basic information or the basic knowledge about the gaseous solution, when a type of question is going to appear, you can solve it very easily. Okay, yes. So this is how it will going to appear. So let us move to the next part of the chapter, that is the concentration terms. What do you mean by this concentration terms? See, when we are going to purchase the things, okay, so if I go to the stationery, if I want to get a one pen, okay, I am going to represent it as a give one pen. Okay, that one word we are going to use here. Okay, that represent the quantity over there. Okay, so when you go to the grocery shops, what we are going to, if you want to buy rice or some other things, what are you going to say? Give a half kg of rice, give 1 kg of rice, or give 500 gram of rice, like that. Agree? Okay, when you go to a gold shop, we're not going to use the kg level over there. Okay, we're going to take a gram or the milligram over here, like that. Okay, when we want to prepare a solution, okay, so you might have gone through the laboratory method or practical things you have done in a laboratory, especially in a chemistry. What are you going to do? You're going to do the titration, right? Even for the first year you have done the acid-base titration. Okay, so in acid-base titration you're going to use the word molarity. Agree? Okay, so this is nothing but what? A concentration terms. Okay, so in order to prepare a solution in a standard level, Okay, we are going to use some of the concentration terms. Okay, so if I go to the glossary shop, sorry, I'll not going to use the word like salpaki kodi, not like that. Okay, so we're going to represent with the one quantity over there. Similarly, in a preparation of a chemicals, we're going to use some of the concentration terms. Okay, so these concentration terms you have like studied even in the first year, in the first chapter, that is some basic concept of chemistry. Yet here also it play a very important role, and repeating for your competitive exam, you will definitely going to get the questions based on these concentration terms. So let us study about those concentration terms in this. So under this concentration of a solution, we should know at least what is the meaning of concentration. Okay, so we will going to use normally the word concentration, but particular to the chemistry, what do you mean by this concentration? Okay, like it is the amount of a solute, or I could say definite amount of a solute is taken and dissolved in a definite quantity of a solvent or solution. That is what we are going to call it as a concentration. I could say how much amount of a solute is present in a given definite quantity of a water or the solvent or the solution. Okay, that is what the concentration. Okay, so if I take a I could say if I take a 100 ml of water, okay, to that if I add 3, 4, 5 spatula of a salt, means it tastes too salty in that. I could say it is highly concentrated or it is too salty. What do you mean by that? Salty, it is that much of concentrated it is. Okay, in a normal way I could say this. Okay, so the concentration of a solution can be expressed by using the different units, and I am repeating where in this part of the chapter, especially the concentration of a solution, the theory part as well as for your CET and the NEET, you will going to get a questions for sure. Okay, so please concentrate here. Okay, the concentration of a solution can be expressed in a many way, where the first and the important that I am writing over here is molarity. Okay, let us take all the concentration terms, then we are going to discuss one by one. Okay, so first one is molarity. Okay, so generally represented by capital M. This you know, because in your laboratory you have prepared, or your lecturer have given the prepared solution, standard solution of a given molarity, and by using that you have titrated. Okay, yes. So similarly, molarity, which is a small m, and then comes mole fraction represented by X, and next comes the volume percentage, I'm going to explain each one by one, represented by V by P. Okay, next comes mass percentage, or we could say weight percentage. Let us take it as a weight percentage itself. Weight percentage means what? This is represented by W by W. Okay, and the last one is like, we could say weight by volume percentage. Weight by volume percentage. Okay, this is what we usually commonly we are going to use. There comes one more which is important, that is ppm, parts per million. Okay, parts per million. So these are all the concentration terms, just note it down. Okay, so this is how we are going to use, and we are going to discuss each and everything in depth. Okay, let us go with the molarity and the molality, where most of the question will appear from this part. Yes, students, I have taken a molarity here to explain for the first concentration term, that is molarity is represented by M. Okay, here let us imagine have some amount of a solute in my hand. Okay, so for example sodium hydroxide itself. So take a definite quantity around 5 gram of a sodium hydroxide I have, and by using that one I need to prepare some molar solution of 1 liter. Okay, so here molarity can be defined as the number of moles of the solute dissolved in a given definite volume of the solution. Okay, the solution need to be prepared for 1 liter. To prepare that 1 liter molar solution, I need a definite number of moles of the solute. That gives the molar solution. So I can represent or express in a mathematical way like molarity is equal to number of moles of the solute dissolved in definite volume of solution. So the definite volume of solution, we are going to take it as a 1 liter as a standard. So number of moles of the solute dissolved in 1 liter of the solution is nothing but molar or molarity. Okay. So I can represent it in a mathematical way as M is equal to number of moles of the solute is represented as N, that we have learned in the first year itself, divided by volume of the solution is V over here. So this is a mathematical expression for the molarity. Okay, so these points you have to remember, very important. Now let us take one example where I need to prepare sodium hydroxide molar solution. Okay, so we have a sodium hydroxide of 5 gram. Okay, and I need to prepare for 1 liter. Okay, so I have the amount of a solute and I know the amount of solute, and for how much I need to prepare I know. So by using these terms I need to prepare a definite molarity of the solution, or I need to find out the molarity of the solution. So for that reason, if I know the N value, I can substitute directly. But here they have given a mass of a solute, not the number of moles of the solute. Okay. So now to find out the number of moles of the solute, there is an expression called, see here, number of moles of the solute is equal to mass of the solute divided by molar mass of the solute. So this is very important. Okay, N is equal to mass of the solute divided by molar mass of the solute. So if I apply this formula to the information that is given, see here, what is the mass of the solute of a sodium hydroxide they have given? It is 5 gram. Okay, what is the molar mass of the solute? The solute here is sodium hydroxide, and how to find out the molar mass of the solute? Like sum of the atomic weight you have to do. We have a sodium, we have a oxygen, we have a hydrogen. The atomic weight of a sodium is 23.5 around, okay, and oxygen is 16. So this is how you can express the molarity, and compulsory you have to remember the formula, okay, and the unit for the molarity is mole per liter. And one more important concept that you have to remember for the molarity is that it is temperature dependent, means if there is a change in temperature, if there is an increase in or decrease in temperature, it directly affects the molarity. The molarity of a given solution might change over here. It's because we have taken the quantity or the term that is volume. As we know, the volume is temperature dependent. The volume might change or may increase or decrease with a change in temperature. For that reason, if the volume changes, obviously the concentration of a solution definitely changes. So the molarity of the solution is temperature dependent, means the molarity changes with a change in temperature. So these are all the important points that you have to remember definitely for the molarity, and we are going to do some of the problems based on this concept. Okay. So next we are going to discuss regarding the molarity and the mole fraction. So here I have taken one more problem that is based on NCERT, and this is for you people. Try to do, but I am going to give a hint how to do. We calculate the amount of benzoic acid required to prepare 250 ml of 0.15 molar solution. Here it is quite different than the first one. The molarity is given, the volume is given, okay, but you need to find out how much amount of a benzoic acid is required to prepare this molarity. Okay, so first write down the given points, okay, where in that you have to find out the m value or the weight of the solute that you have taken to prepare a given solution. Okay, so in my next class we are going to discuss regarding the next concentration terms and the remaining point and the molality and the mole fraction and remaining three concentrations.